Today I want to preview the SEC championship game between Alabama and Florida, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time today. I want to take a look at Alabama versus Florida in the SEC title game in Atlanta. And before LSU happened in the swamp, we all expected this to act as a play-in game for the college football playoff. Play-in for Florida, knowing that Alabama could probably take a loss in the SEC title game and still get into the college football playoff because they have been far and away the best team in college football, and we all expect them to be competitive, if not win the whole damn thing here in just a few weeks. But Florida, after suffering one loss against what we all thought was a good Texas A&M team, whose only loss was to this Alabama team, would have had an opportunity to get into the playoff with a win against the unanimous Associated Press #1 team in the country, and then dropped the game 37-34 to an undermanned LSU. According to Sports Illustrated, they showed up with 54 scholarship players, 33 freshmen, and then had to start Max Johnson, who's a true freshman. Start him at quarterback in the swamp for his first ever game. His father is Super Bowl winner and quarterback Brad Johnson, who went to Florida State. So Brad Johnson was at the swamp to watch his son Max make his start against his college football arch nemesis and get outplayed, quite honestly, by Kyle Trask, who threw 474 yards, but threw 3 interceptions in that game, 2 in the first quarter, in the first half. And that really ended up being something like the difference for me. But the moment that most people will remember is Marco Wilson picking up an LSU player's shoe at the end of a play and chucking it 20 yards downfield to draw the 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. The penalty would change the game. You're looking at getting off the field if you're Florida's defense, and now you've given LSU new life, and then you gave their kicker an opportunity to hit a 57-yard field goal through the fog, which more like a stiff dew. Still, 57-yarder and nails, and that's the difference in the game as LSU knocked off previously number 6 ranked Florida, who probably falls outside of the top 10 when the college football playoff rankings appear on Tuesday. Of course, you're watching this before Tuesday, I hope, or at least before the rankings show. Now, Nick Saban's defense got a wake-up call in October when they gave up 48 points to Ole Miss in a game that featured an SEC record 1,370 yards of offense. Since then, though, the Tide defense has been stifling, an SEC best 16.8 points per game this season. And the Alabama defense is balanced by a dynamic Alabama offense. Quarterback Mac Jones, running back Najee Harris, wide receiver Devontae Smith, Jaleel Billingsley at tight end along with Miller Forrestall, John Mechie at wide receiver, Slade Bolden at wide receiver. And oh, by the way, they could get Jalen Waddle back in time for the college football playoff. Have been averaging 49.5 points a game. That number goes up just a little bit with the win against Arkansas. So they're right at 50 points a game. And an Alabama offense that can drop 50 on their skull with a Nick Saban defense feels like Megazord. It feels like the Power Rangers coming together to take down whatever it is Rita Repulsa has summoned to save us all from whatever is coming at us in the universe. It feels like Voltron coming together with the Lions doing their thing, right? It feels like Brawly in a Dragon Ball Z movie. It's just ridiculous. It's the difference between Sho'nuff showing up with the red hands and Bruce Leroy showing up with the full body glow. It's awesome to behold, and I do believe they're going to run roughshod over the Florida Gators. As a matter of fact, Fox Bet's line has this as Alabama by 16 with an over-under of 74. Kyle Trask was a Heisman favorite going into this game against LSU. Probably not so much anymore with 2 losses. They also played that game without Kyle Pitts, thinking that they probably could rest him because he had a slight injury against an undermanned LSU team. Shouldn't need all that much help, so you can have him ready to go against Alabama. Now, the best tight end in the country is your best opportunity to try to get past this Alabama defense, because Kadarius Toney also adds a very good dimension to what you're doing. 9 catches, 182 yards against LSU in the loss. So my thinking is, if Florida can turn this into an Ole Miss football game, like earlier in the year, where you have 647 yards of offense, 48 points, and you get into a shoot 'em out with, Alabama, you got an opportunity to knock off the number 1 team in the country. And then perhaps you make the committee make some decisions there. Would they put in a 2-loss SEC champion over an undefeated 6-0, though, Ohio State? Like, that's the question that begs answering if Florida can somehow pull off this win. Also, ESPN Stats and Info had a really great nugget here. Alabama is the first team in league history, SEC history, to record 5 50-point games in a season in conference play since the formation of the SEC in 1933. That also comes at a time when Alabama gave up the most points it's ever given up to an unranked team since the SEC began, to Ole Miss. So Florida's playoff hopes took a massive hit, but perhaps they can recover with a win against Alabama. And then, if Notre Dame can double up Clemson in the ACC title game, you make it easier to put Florida in with an Ohio State and an Alabama, right? And a Notre Dame. So there's a lot that's riding on this game. And it also could have a lot to say about Group of 5 hopefuls Cincinnati and Coastal Carolina, because both of those teams are also undefeated. And while they're vying for a New Year's Six Bowl spot, because the highest ranked Group of 5 team gets into a New Year's Six Bowl, meaning that perhaps Cincinnati beats Tulsa, which would be their only ranked win of the season. But if you really are taking into account the strength of schedule, you'll note that Coastal Carolina has a stronger strength of schedule than Cincinnati, with ranked wins against ULL, Louisiana Lafayette, another against a undefeated and top 15 BYU, and then again, ostensibly, a ranked win against ULL. That's a tremendous resume if you're Coastal Carolina. There's not a whole hell of a lot more you can do. I think the Coastal Carolina deserves more respect than Cincinnati to date. That's what I believe, no matter what the American thinks. And this also would mean that Texas A&M is out, and your 2-loss Big 12 champion is out, and your undefeated Pac-12 champion, if it is USC's the Pac-12 champion, they'd be the only undefeated team left. They'd be 6-0, and they would be out. So there's a lot to unpack here, but landscape, Alabama probably takes care of business against Florida, so all of that's moot. But if Florida can make that into a game, then the selection committee is going to have to deliberate all night going into Sunday morning for what should be a wild college football playoff selection show Sunday, and I am here for it. All right, that's it for me. Doses.